about this most important and most life-giving practice of just making the chili. And I'll explain what I mean. Just going to get started here. I'm recording. The mic's on. Check, check, check. Okay. All right. Let me just move this over. Okay. So recording the podcast now. 3, 2. Woohoo! Okay. Summer is almost over and I am celebrating because I like routine. I like structure. We're going back to school in 2 days from when I'm recording this podcast right now today. And, it's a time of year when I'm willing to bet you might just need a good kick in the pants, right? We've been in the flow of slow summer days and lots of time with the kids, and the seasons are changing. It's time to get moving again. And so this is the exact perfect time for me to share with you why you just need to make the chili. And I'll explain what I mean. I'm going to share a mindset that is a core value for us here in the She Just Glows community. And it started when I was making chili for my family one night, and I realized I didn't have everything I needed. And what happened next is a foundational principle for living a joyful and thriving life, which is exactly what I am here to help you do. So today I'm going to share what it means to just make the chili. What does that mean? I'm also going to explain why you should just be making your chili. And if you're having a tough time with this exercise, I'll walk you through 4 steps of how to do it right here, right now. Okay? So thanks for being here. I'm Janie. I'm a joy coach. You can work with me privately as a one-on-one client. In fact, I do have openings in my fall schedule right now. So head to shejustglows.com/coaching if you want any details on that, or to set up a free discovery call with me where we basically get to know each other and I share how I can help you with whatever you're facing. So clients come to me with all sorts of goals. It can be clarity as you face a separation or a divorce. It can be cultivating patience in your relationships. It can be learning to be assertive at work and the leader you deserve to be, remembering you deserve to be here. It can also be looking at changing your relationship with alcohol. Some of my clients come to me and they want to stop, and they have. Or other clients are just cutting back. We're working on moderation, being curious about your relationship with alcohol and what that all means. And for one of my clients, her big focus is no solo drinking, right? So social drinking is fine, like when she's out with other people, not an issue. But what she finds time after time that brings her down is that the wine she pours as she settles into Netflix after getting the kids to bed, right? It starts as 1 and then 2, and then throughout the course of the night, it just goes down a path that she doesn't like. And she wakes up the next morning and doesn't like how she feels, not just physically, but mentally. So last week she got off track. She did some solo drinking. But I am so proud of her and I want to share why. And this exactly relates, and this absolutely relates to what we're talking about today in this episode. This client reached out to me through Voxer, which is what all of my 12-week and up clients are able to do. In between our sessions, you still have access to me. If you're having a rough day, if you need inspiration and encouragement or just accountability, we talk as much as you want on an app called Voxer, which is basically kind of a way to leave really long voicemails for each other. So she reached out to me through Voxer, and here's what she said. I got off track, but this time it took me hours instead of weeks to get back. I know what I need to do. And that is the work we do. So that muscle memory that we create during our work together, that even when you have a slip up, no matter what your goal is, if you get off track, we've done the work to set the foundation so that you get right back on track. That is the key. It's not getting dramatic or shaming ourselves for having a slip up. What we do is we skip past the shame that doesn't serve us. I don't let you waste time with self-deprecating and being low. We simply move forward. This is so huge. And I see the progress in this mindset shift for my clients. So I just had to share it today. It is such a big deal. And as her coach, I see so much progress there. To me, this is what building a thriving life is. We're not after perfection. We are after progress. So I want to say today that on this theme, this theme of pursuing progress every day and putting the I want it perfect mindset out of our minds, I want to talk more about that. And actually, before we get started, here's an exercise I want you to do right now. Picture yourself plucking this unattainable life of I want it perfect. Picture your fingers plucking this idea out of your head and then throw it on the ground under your feet and stomp on it. Okay? Just like that. Stomp out the I want it perfect and work towards this. I will do the best I can with what I have today. That's a powerful way of thinking, and it's one of my core values. All I can promise you is that I will do the best I can with the tools that I have at my disposal today. And today I want to teach that to you by telling you this. Just make the chili. Just make the chili. Okay, so what do I mean? What do I mean? Just make the chili. Okay, so it was 3 p.m. My kids were hungry, and one of my boys, I love this kid, he loves chili no matter how hot it is outside. And so he had requested, hey, Mom, can you make chili sometime soon? So I was so excited. I love when my kids actually tell me something that they want me to make. I'm like, yes, I will do that right away. So I'd gotten all the ingredients to make the chili that day, right? So I'd prepared earlier in the day. I'd thawed the meat. I'd gotten everything ready, gotten it all together. And since the kids were hungry, I went to start making the chili. So the first thing I did was I threw the ground turkey in the pot to brown. I know some of you guys are like, turkey, how do you put that in chili? Oh, I don't mind ground turkey instead of ground beef in certain dishes where you can really spice it up. I find that no one really notices the difference. That's just our house. So anyway, I threw the ground turkey in the pot to brown. The meat's browning. And the next step, what's the next step in chili, right? Add in all the spices that make the chili. So, I'm kind of cheap. So I don't buy the packets of chili seasoning because I'm like, I can make that myself. I can make that myself. I'm like, I can make that myself with the seasonings I already have on hand. You just combine them, right? So I grab all the spices that it takes to make chili. And when it comes to the chili, let me ask you guys this. I think it's a pretty indisputable fact. What is the first spice that makes chili chili-ish? Cumin, right? So I get to the pantry, the meat is browning, the kids are hungry, it's dinner time, and I realize something. I have no cumin. Which first of all is really annoying because this has happened before. I run out of cumin often. I use it a lot, and I've already done the text all the neighbors, see if I can borrow some cumin. I already know my neighbors right near me, they don't really use cumin or they don't have it. So that's out of the options. I know I can't. So that's not an option. I know I'm not texting my neighbors to borrow some cumin or use some of their cumin, right? So I know I can't really get the cumin in time to make dinner tonight. My family's hungry. The train has already left the station. So here I am. And so I sit there thinking, and I'm like, if I don't have cumin at that point, is it even chili? Right? Like cumin is the chili part of the chili. So if you don't have the cumin, can you even call it chili? It's really just like a bean soup or something, right? So I'm doing this whole thing in my head of I don't have the cumin, but I want to make the chili. Everyone's hungry. What do? I need to make dinner, but I don't have all the ingredients I need. And this is a metaphor for your life today. You have something you need to do. You have something you need to do or want to do, and you don't have all the ingredients. Maybe you don't have the time. Maybe you don't have the sign off from the people whose opinion matters to you. Maybe you just don't have the motivation. Maybe you don't have the money. You have something you need to do, but you don't have all the ingredients. You prepared. You're in the moment now. You thought you were ready. You're in the moment and it's do or die, and you realize you don't have what you think you need. You don't have the cumin. So in this moment, and we have them in all parts of our day and we have them in all different parts of our day and different compartments of our life. But when you have this moment, I want you to remember one thing. Just make the chili. Even if you don't have everything you think you need, I want you to keep going. I want you to just make the chili. And there are a few reasons for this. The first one's obvious. The family's hungry. It needs to get done. Dinner must be made. The meat is already browning. There is no going back. In other words, you still need to do the thing. So don't give up. Don't say I can't. You have no choice but to keep going. The meat's already browning. You can't stop it now. So that's what I did. I didn't have the cumin, but I was like, well, I mean, what's done is done. I just threw in some other spices. I got oregano, thyme, maybe some basil, probably some salt and pepper, chili powder, and oh my gosh, my favorite spice by far lately, I put it in everything I can. Smoked paprika. Oh my gosh. If you don't have smoked paprika in your pantry, do yourself a favor and just buy it and start using it in different dishes. It is so good. I love it. I love that smoky flavor, and it just adds another layer of dimension to whatever dish I'm making. But anyway, so I had the smoked paprika, but I didn't have the cumin. I still knew it was missing the star of the show. Like, what puts the chill in chili? It's cumin, right? And I didn't have it. But I had a feeling my kids would still eat it and probably wouldn't notice a thing. So the second reason I want you to just make the chili or just keep going with this thing is this. Everyone will still eat it. It's going to be fine. The only person who will realize that there's no cumin is you. In other words, no one cares that you don't have all the right ingredients. No one cares. Usually no one notices. The goal is to feed everyone dinner, not make a perfect chili. Again, that value of progress and movement over perfection here. Everyone will still eat it. It doesn't matter if it didn't have cumin. So keep going with this thing because no one else will notice that you didn't have everything you thought you needed. The third reason you have no choice to keep going is the I want it perfect doesn't work. It doesn't work because it leaves you with a lose-lose scenario. It's either perfect, which is going to take you a lot of time, energy, and probably isn't attainable, or you just don't do it. In this case, my family would have been hungry that night, right? If I had only served perfect chili with cumin, the reality for that night is my family wouldn't have had dinner. So it doesn't work. Ditch the I want it perfect attitude and move forward. It's still a dinner that will feed my family, and I just make the chili, right? So how do you do this? How do you just make the chili? Oh, I don't like chili if it doesn't have cumin. I don't want to do this thing in my life if I don't have all the ingredients and all the time and everything lined up perfectly before I get started. I understand that completely. It can be really hard, especially if you're someone who loves doing this right and perfect and flawlessly. But this is an important practice, valuing progress over perfection. So how do you learn this practice? How do you just make the chili when you don't have cumin? How do you do this thing in life when you know it won't be perfect? I'm going to share 4 ways. All right, so the first way is accept an imperfect finished product. Accept it. How do you do that? 2 words. Start ugly. My life coach had a mantra for this. As I was getting her mentorship before I started Joy Coaching with Janie, I was like, should I do this? I don't know if I know what I'm doing. I'm not getting certified, but I feel that my life's passion and purpose is wrapped up in encouraging women and up-leveling that to a one-on-one situation just seemed so natural. And she said, you absolutely have to do it now. Do not waste time or defer with this certification. Not that it's not valuable, but it's not required. And she said this, start ugly. You're not going to have it all figured out. Get going before you do, or you'll spend your life waiting. Get moving. Start ugly. Give yourself permission to start ugly. And this gave me so much freedom to start my business, even though my website wasn't glossy, even though I didn't have everything totally figured out. I could come up with objection after objection to this idea of starting life coaching, but instead I leaned into starting ugly, learning as I went, and dwelling in the knowledge that I had a passion and a purpose to offer this world. And if I'd waited until I had all my T's crossed and all my I's dotted, I probably would have never started. So start ugly. It's like this podcast. If I'd waited to record it until I knew I would not stutter, or until I knew that all my points were clear and perfect, I'd never do it. Instead, I chose the path of progress over perfection. And let me tell you, giving myself permission to share an imperfect finished product is so much more satisfying. And don't you think that being around someone who is moving forward and comfortable with their own imperfect progress is actually so much more interesting than the girl who just does everything perfectly and has no backstory? You know what I mean? Make the choice. Move boldly forward and start ugly. Okay? The second way to just make the chili is get creative. Getting creative. I want you guys to really hear me here because this is big. Getting creative and kind of going off script is not a fail. It's an opportunity. Let me explain myself, okay? Challenge yourself to be resourceful. So here's let's relate it back to my chili story, okay? You're going to be so sick of hearing the word chili by the end of this episode, right? Using different spices and freestyling it had several benefits. I got to use up other spices. I got to freestyle. I got to get creative. I got to try different flavor profiles in my chili. Let yourself freestyle. Think of this getting creative exercise as a challenge, not a punishment. And stay open to this possibility, because who knows? Maybe what you create will be even better than your perfectly planned original. Maybe what you create when you're getting creative will be even better than what you had planned so perfectly. Maybe it will enable you to come up with a way that's even more efficient or even more fruitful than your initial perfect plan. Right? So getting creative is an opportunity to learn a new, possibly better way. It's not a sign of a fail. Going off script is not a sign of a fail. It's a sign of opportunity. So lean into that. Don't be afraid of it. The third way to just make the chili, and I love this, just know that people will love your chili. Consider that going off your perfect plan is actually a path that everyone will love. Just make the chili. So I knew when I made my chili without the cumin that the people in my house would definitely still eat it. Dinner would still be on the table. People would still eat. Your chili may not have cumin, but people will still love it. I promise. Actually, if I remember right, my kids ended up eating like 2 or 3 bowlfuls each, which doesn't normally happen. I'm like, wow, maybe I just discovered a type of chili that they like even better than regular. So all my hesitation about not checking the cumin box was really just wasted energy because I went off script, and what happened was everyone loved it. Don't waste your energy worrying about how people will react. They will probably love your imperfect plan. The only way they won't is if they're hungry, if you don't serve it to them, right? Make the chili. You just need to serve it to them, and they will love it. The fourth thing I want to encourage you in when it comes to just making the chili or just moving boldly forward with that goal or plan or thing in your day is this: expect an abundance of what you need. You may be missing one ingredient, but is it possible that you'll have an abundance of everything else you need? I love this mindset, and it's absolutely a mindset, a teaching, a practice that I hit up often in my coaching calls. I have a friend named Summer, and we've been doing Bible study together, for close to a decade now. And I'll never forget when one of her kids was newborn, something that she shared in our small group. She said something along the lines of, I have a newborn who doesn't sleep a lot at night, and I was worried that I wouldn't be able to spend the time doing this Bible study that I wanted to. And she said something that was so incredible was that God provided her with an abundance of the time that she needed to do this Bible study. So where she had feared that she would be deprived of time, she actually always ended up having the exact amount of time she needed to do it. Her baby would nap randomly, and she would get a couple days of the Bible study done. And it was just such an inspiration to me that when I approach things that seem overwhelming in the moment, from the knowledge that I might have an abundance of time or whatever tool I need to do this thing, that might just be exactly what I experience. So expect abundance, even when you're missing that one ingredient. So just make the chili, guys. Are you ready to go make some chili? Is it fall yet? Is it cold yet? Gosh, we've got a couple more months to go here in Florida. It's still very hot here. Just make the chili. Your life doesn't need all the ingredients you think it does. Get creative. Be open to learning a new way. Know that everyone will probably love it. No one will notice what's missing. And all you need to do is let go of that urge to pursue perfection and instead settle into the knowledge that doing the best you can with what you have today is all they need.